What's up, everyone? This is Nick from the Revolution and Ideology podcast. Jared and I just finished doing a session on Hamilton the musical and really focusing on its historical accuracy or inaccuracy and the impact of that on the way that people behave, the way that people believe in history, and what history actually is, and how that impacts the way that we uh, sort of believe in our society and this founding mythological narrative. And there was just one thought that I had that we really didn't have time to discuss, though I really wanted to. And kind of my big takeaway after doing all of the research on Hamilton for doing that, having that conversation, watching the musical and reading history of Alexander Hamilton's life, which we've done before. If you haven't seen that, we actually have a full episode on Alexander Hamilton, and I highly suggest you go watch. There's a link on our channel to the video, which we just did for UCCS, about the historical accuracy and why that's important. But it really got me thinking about, if people aren't already, based on what's going on in our society, race in America and the history of sort of white supremacy and the status of that now, and the founding of our country and where we are now, and the conversations we're having, the progress that has been made, and really the progress that still needs to be made. And so I just wanted to record this short video and talk about that just for a second. Really, my first response to Hamilton was, it's a highly entertaining musical. No one can deny that. Even if you hate musicals, just looking at the numbers of what it has achieved, the billion dollar revenue and millions of tickets sold, and just people across the world being fans of this, wildly entertaining. But to me, it sort of illuminates two things that I think are really, really important to emphasize. And the first thing is, it absolutely is an example of progress. We have progressed as a society, and Hamilton is an example of that. And when I say that, what I mean is we have progressed from only giving audience to the story of white men being told by white men. We have progressed from that. We now are comfortable as a society, in the millions, going to see a story of a white man told through the language and the performances of people of color. And that is absolutely amazing. And we should not discount that in any way. But at the same time, Hamilton also represents how far we still have to go, because it sort of illustrates that we are not yet comfortable listening, at least in the millions, to the stories of people of color, indigenous peoples, told by people of color and indigenous peoples, using their own language, their own art forms, and their performances. Like I said, no longer must we listen to the stories of white men told by white men. Now we will listen to the stories of white men told by people of color. I am hoping that as a society, hopefully soon, we can reach a point when we will listen to the stories, the heroes of color, told through the art forms, the language, and the performances of people of color. So like I said, Hamilton represents two things for me. It represents sort of the progress that we've been made, but it also sort of indicates the progress that is yet to be done. That when we can, in the millions, and generate billions of dollars for stories of people of color, told by people of color, that will be a huge amount of progress. And like I said, that's not to discount the progress that Hamilton it represents, but it also at the same time represents how far we still have to go. So I look forward to the day when we can tell the stories of Benjamin Banneker and Nat Turner and Gabriel Prosser and all of these Tecumseh, and we could go on forever. And it's not as if those stories aren't being told, and it's not as if those stories aren't being told by people of color, but we as a society are not yet ready to give audience in massive numbers to those stories and to those performances. And I think that still reveals a lot about where we are and the status of white supremacy and patriarchy and heteronormativity, and we could go on in American society. So I just wanted to record a quick video to sort of talk about that briefly. If you have any comments, leave us a comment or leave us a message, and we will respond.